Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the In the Mixer podcast. You're joining us on a weekend where the Premier League has thrown curveball results at us, and we've decided to join in and throw one at you. Joining me today, we have the usuals, in no particular order, my fellow co-host Elias.
Here's actually a host that refers to me as a co-host and not a guest. Thank you.
That's quite all right. And of course, myself, Michael. And here to restore order with his more than capable hosting abilities, we've got, as usual, Phil.
Yeah, I prefer Premier Host.
Premier host.
As my specific title. Yeah, lovely. Thank you for introducing that, Michael.
That's all right.
Much more clean than usual. And it didn't actually take as long as it usually does.
Nerve-wracking, though.
No.
Really nerve-wracking.
Sweat.
Surprisingly.
You can wipe that sweat from your brow now, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
You wipe it. Just like perhaps Antonio Conte will be wiping his brow after a stressful afternoon at Selhurst Park. Goodness me, Crystal Palace, it's like London buses, the old cliche. You wait for like 8 weeks for a goal and then two come along at once.
Hey!
Hey! Crystal Palace 2, Chelsea 1. Wilfried Zaha, is he world class, Elias?
Prefer not to answer that question.
Okay, Michael, is Wilfried Zaha, or as Sky Sports nicely highlighted over his post-match interview, is Louis Zaha world class?
Well, we all know the answer to that
one. If he does it against another big team, probably not. No.
But no, an absolutely barnstorming result. Really took everyone by surprise. But it's like one of those ones where it's like this strange Palace record cannot go on for long, and it did end in quite awkward style. An Azpilicueta own goal, and yeah, I'm going to come to you, Elias, because you are pretty much our Chelsea, man.
Resident.
You put on Twitter, Crystal Palace and Wilfried Zaha in particular managed to make Azpilicueta look like a Sunday League player.
Well, Azpilicueta is known to be a really solid defender and not make mistakes. If he makes a mistake in a match, he usually just recovers and completely just makes you forget about the mistake. But against Palace, I don't know. I said before the game that when I saw the lineup, when Wilfried Zaha was starting up front, I was just super scared. Because Wilfried Zaha is too quick with the ball for both Alonso and Cahill to keep up with him. So I thought that was the wing that was going to struggle. But it was actually the Azpilicueta, Sepp Costa / Moses wing that had the most problems. And that was really surprising to me.
Yeah, because obviously Alonso's got that ability going forward. Perhaps... I don't know. Is it fair to say skeptical on his defensive ability? I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, I'd say so because he was also one of the players that really underperformed and have been underperforming for a few matches now. And I really hope he's going to get dropped for the next game because he's not looking in form at all.
And you mentioned as well, don't mean to throw you under the bus here to your fellow Chelsea fans, but you mentioned as well you didn't appreciate Willian's performance particularly, also on that right-hand side. Do you think that's perhaps where Chelsea lost the game then? Literally that entire right side?
I wouldn't say it was completely their fault. Pretty much the whole team didn't really perform. And one player that actually started performing when he came on was Sepp Costa, and I was really pleased with his performance going forward, and also defensively he was decent. Of course, Palace had already scored 2, so they didn't really need to attack that much. But other than that, it's just frustrating to watch. It was just like this City game, just slow and missing passes, and I can understand against City that it's harder, but against Palace, when you're Chelsea, you shouldn't be struggling with that.
I mean, maybe it's so go on.
Sorry, I know. I was just going to say, do you think Chelsea really missed Kante as well? I mean, it wasn't all just... Obviously, we talked about attacking down the wings as an issue, but do you think that having Kante injured was also a huge factor?
I don't know.
Do you
really.
think it would have helped with the pace of Zaha? Because
I'm not sure about it. If if Kante was there, we would probably play the normal 3-5-2 that we've been playing. We played a 3-4-3 this game with Hazard and Willian out wide, and I'm not sure if Kante, like, it would have probably helped in the middle, but I don't think the middle was the problem. I think it was the wings that was just completely open, and it was just too easy to get through.
Yep.
Do you think perhaps they had one eye on the Roma game, maybe, and perhaps didn't go all out, full throttle for this game? And if they were, what sort of changes do you think they'll make for that game with likes of Rudiger and Christensen left on the bench?
I really hope both Rudiger and Christensen starts next game. Saracosta will definitely start because Moses got injured half time. Midfield-wise, we don't really have anything to... we got Kyle Scott, a 19-year-old USA international, to put there. But Pedro will definitely start. William will 100% get dropped because I think Conte is not happy with his performance. But I'm not sure if Batshuayi will start. That's the weird thing. And it might call for Hazard to go up front and put Charlie Musonda on the wing. But yeah, the bench is looking really, really tight now, and it's just looking like Conte said it's looking like an emergency.
Yeah. Well,
Should bring one of those 19 players you've got on loan out back.
19 is more like
Is it more than
36 or
Oh
40.
god. Sorry, just another thing I wanted to, I think last week after the City game, I mentioned I probably would have put Willian in the team, and I think I should eat my words on that now after his performance, because it was evident why he's not getting in the team really, if that's the level of performance he's going to put out.
It's just been poor. Like, both defensively, he's not looking like the play was like the box-to-box winger that could help defend, and he's lost his chemistry with Hazard, I think, because Hazard and William were really, really good together when they played last season, but it's just something has happened. I don't know if he's unhappy or if it's just that he's not feeling it. I don't know.
Perhaps it's due to obviously Hazard missing pre-season. Perhaps, like you said, that chemistry's gone away. We won't just talk about Chelsea's misdemeanors. We'll talk a bit about Palace, because they created some good chances. And to be fair, in their most recent fixtures, against who was it where they lost 1-0 when De Boer's last game? Was that against Burnley, I think? Or Swansea? I can't remember.
Southampton?
Southampton, yeah. Well, they've had like... no, that was Hodges' first game, yeah. But the point still remains. They were creating chances. It's not like they haven't been able to create chances. So do you think this is perhaps... Do you think this is perhaps the real Palace we're seeing now, almost? Like, they're going to start to kick on now and get some good results? Because their next 5 games, they've got Newcastle away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away. Wembley seems not the same Spurs. Everton at home, who are struggling. Stoke at home, who are struggling. I mean, you can see Palace winning at least 3 of those games. Like, they could be out of the drop zone by the end of the month almost.
Well, plus I don't say you can see them winning 3 of those games particularly. I still think they're a long way off where they need to be. I think this was a freak result, but I think a huge benefactor, and we've already talked about it a little bit, was Zaha returning from injury. Like, injected pace into that team and just a little bit of composure on the ball. Even if he wasn't running at players, he is just a little bit smarter minded than I think Saka's been playing up front. And even like Jason Punchin as well, I think, played in front a couple of games. It's just a bit of composure on the ball, ability to hold the ball up, and it can obviously, it had a huge impact on the team yesterday, for confidence, and I think that even the formation change was a lot better, and they just all round looked a different team. So in some respects, that is Palace almost getting back to the strength they should be, so it almost is the real Palace, but I still think they're a long way away from talking about beating the teams that you just read off.
Okay. Missed Loftus-Cheek, of course, with this game as well, due to his being on loan from Chelsea, so it'll be good to have him back in the team with the creative likes of...
I think he's also injured, though.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's injured.
Well, hopefully that's not a long-term thing. But no, a good result for Palace, like we said, and they did a lot of running. unlike Arsenal players for that second Watford goal. Well, is it a freak result? Watford are home to Arsenal? Because obviously Marco Silva's doing wonders there. They're playing very well, very organised. Arsenal have had their critics this season, probably quite rightly. We'll talk about the winning goal at the end of this little sum up of this game. But Arsenal started well with a good Mertesacker header. Where did it go wrong for Arsenal? Because this looked like a game they could perhaps grind out, and they just didn't.
I didn't see the last 10 minutes, but from what I see here is that Rob Holding got substituted on for Koscielny. Was that because of injury, or was it Wenger with a mastermind move?
I assume it was injuries. I think the mastermind substitution was the Özil coming on, because that didn't particularly. If you're looking to seal out a 1-0, I think the last player you want to call on is Özil. Really, he'd be the one you want to take off at that point if he's starting the game.
Especially with the form he's in, and also I guess you could argue form Danny Welbeck's in, and Danny Welbeck put in a really good defensive shift that game. He was tracking back a lot on that left hand side. I've not criticised Kolasinac, don't think once this season, but Welbeck a lot of that game had to be back.
Yeah.
Also, also that you can mention that is that Coquelin was on the bench, unused substitution. But why would you bring on Mesut Özil instead of Coquelin at that point?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So Özil came on around the 60-minute mark for Welbeck. I don't know if it was that caused the. I mean, Özil obviously is a great player with the ball at his feet. He set up Iwobi, who perhaps should have scored. Giroud also came on for Lacazette. Those two players don't strike me as people who are going to seal out, a 1-0 win. And whether it was those changes that changed the game, or perhaps the penalty, which is decisive, and whether it should be given. But yeah, I didn't really see the point of bringing on Özil. Unless the game was already won. I don't want to batter Özil because there's plenty of other players at fault. What do you guys think of the penalty anyway? Did you think it was a penalty?
I'd say it's a penalty.
Yeah. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say it's soft. There's definite contact. So.
Wenger wasn't happy with it. He said, "No penalty, no goal." So I don't know where he's trying to push.
Sounds like a manifesto or something.
Yeah, Wenger 2020. Yeah, so we'll get onto that final goal then. Deeney in the interview after the game said Arsenal lack cojones, to quote him. The final goal, everyone's blaming Xhaka. I'm not going to defend him because it was obviously his fault, but he's not the only player who isn't making a break into the box. I counted Elneny, Kolasinac, Bellerin and Giroud all on the 18-yard line of the penalty box when that goal goes in. I don't want to bash on Ozil as well, but he's well known for not tracking back, not trying. Do you think this perhaps sends he's probably their top player, the best player. Do you think this perhaps sends a message to the other players on the pitch that they also perhaps don't have to run? Is it almost setting a bad example to the rest of the team, or do you think it's a Wenger problem, or do you think it's just the individuals?
I think it's a Wenger problem. I think it's something that has been a problem for Arsenal for quite a while now. It's just Arsenal as a club just I don't want to use the word stink, but it just stinks, just like prima donnas. Really.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
It's just players that don't really they're quality players, but they're not known for working their ass off. It's not the players that Kante that never stops running. It always on the run. But it's just I feel like it's a Wenger problem. He hasn't got enough he doesn't feel like that kind of manager that really tells his player that they need to run more.
No, I understand that. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think the way I see it, Wenger hasn't got enough grit to put it into the players.
Yeah.
That there needs to be a significant effort. I think it's gone past the point of there's a transition of Arsenal becoming a lot more technical, Wenger's football, and I think it's gone beyond that and become pretentious now, and it's working against them. And that, well, we can do all the fancy passing stuff, so we're fine. But against teams like Watford, and that's no disrespect to them, you've got to dig in, and you can't allow them an opportunity to win the game, because that's exactly what they're doing. Under Silva, they're taking opportunities to win games where they probably shouldn't, and just getting on top of opponents. And as Deeney said, he immediately when he came on the pitch, he was seeing if that team was up for it, and because they don't have the grit instilled into them, he realised instantly. His mentality is then so positive. If someone was to come on, if he was to come onto the pitch straight away, be smacked in a tackle or beaten in the air, his mentality drops. It's just natural human instinct. So I think that's got to be instilled in players, whether they're a technical team or not.
That is literally what people mean when they say, "Can you do it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke?" That's literally what they talk about. And these Arsenal players probably can't do it on a cold, windy night in Stoke. They can't do it on a mild evening in northwest London. But yeah, and I mean, Watford sit fourth. I'm gonna go early shout. Marco Silva, Manager of the Year? ? He's doing a great job.
It's all about if he can keep it up. I personally don't think he will. He'll probably finish 10th or 9th in my prediction, but no, I wouldn't say Man of the Year. But
I think Sean Dyche should be a better shout for me, because I think Burnley will end up being more consistent. I do see Watford having periods of. I think Watford need their squad to stay fit at this point. I know they already have a lot of injuries so far, especially to I think Chalobah was one that was mentioned on Match of the Day, and how cleverly had stepped in and put in a significant. But I think if Watford were to lose a couple of players in a similar position, that could be where they lose a couple of games and morale drops, kind of thing. So I agree with Elias. It's going to be consistency that's for his shout for Manager of the Season.
They're without Chalobah at the moment. Cabool's out, Prodal's out. Isaac's Success is stuck in a couple of prostitutes, apparently.
Whoa.
Did you hear that story? He's been warned by Marco Silva for having a quote-unquote tabloid special romp with a couple of ladies of the night. So, yeah. They had the likes of Capoue, Carrillo, Deeney on the bench, Jan-Matt as well. So Premier League players, but I understand what you mean, that quality. Like the players like Richarlison, Andre Gay perhaps hasn't been the signing they wanted, but Pereira, when he's come back, and is it Takore as well, really showing themselves as top quality players. And like you say, if they go missing, perhaps they won't be able to be replaced.
Sorry, just to interject, I kind of disagree about the Andre Gray signing. I think he's actually done well so far. In the game yesterday, obviously they brought Deeney on to change the game, because there's two different. He offers a complete opposite to Deeney for me, and I think that's what he's been. I won't say he's been a fail. He's not scoring as many goals as he did at Burnley, but I think he's been used in a different way almost. He was very much just sort of balls over the top, great, like a Vardy kind of role.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Do continue.
No. It's good. It's good you've seen something in Andre Gray, and perhaps some light at the end of the tunnel for him, and what I thought was a difficult move, but apparently he's
got
doing
potential.
Right. Potential to get on the plane for the World Cup, eh?
Get him on the plane. Grant Holt on the plane today.
We didn't actually give Cleverley a shout out for scoring the winner, so congratulations, Tom Cleverley, on a frantic last few minutes. There was a frantic last few minutes in Serie A, as Juventus lost their 41-game home record unbeaten streak. Dortmund also lost their 41-game home record streak, unbeaten streak. That's what order did you put those words in, listeners? I don't know, but we'll come to them later. But yeah, perhaps, I don't know if you guys watched this game, but perhaps an argument for VAR in the positive here, because watching this game at 2-1 to Lazio, waiting like 3 minutes for this penalty to be given, it was some of the tensest football I've ever watched.
Yeah, it's something that would probably grind your gears, I think, with a positive VAR decision.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, the penalty. I thought it was a penalty. He absolutely clatters Bernardeschi. I believe it's Patrick Gabaron, I believe is his name, but yeah, the substitute absolutely clattered him. Probably could have been a red card, but I think a penalty is a fair decision, although he did win the ball. The penalty, Dybala stepped up as a substitute, saved by Strakosha in the Lazio goal, and Lazio ending Juve's streak, and that has blown the title race open because Napoli now 5 points clear. And guys, after their 1-0 win against Roma, Insigne the goal scorer, I think we can all agree we want someone other than Juve winning Serie A this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Leipzig's result. Dortmund's loss more. I think everyone wants Bayern not to win the Bundesliga as well, and it's going that way. Like, it really is working out that way.
Yeah. Sorry, a caveat to that Napoli result. Inter Milan and AC Milan haven't played yet. That lead could be 2 points. But yeah, like you say, Michael, a 3-2 win for Leipzig away to Dortmund. Crazy game. 3-2, 5 goals, 2 red cards, 1 each. But yeah, this definitely puts Leipzig back in the title race now after a lackluster start to the season. And they did it without Werner or Fosberg as well. Perhaps rested for the Porto game, we don't know. But yeah, what do you think, Michael, as our Bundesliga expert? Is it exciting times in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, there's been Bayern obviously dropping points, but they're sort of getting back on track now, and Dortmund have now dropped points. It does look like it has the potential for Bayern to now go on and overtake Dortmund if they slip up again, etc., etc. But it is really close at the top. I think the top 6 are covered by 5 points or something like that, and that includes Schalke for once, which is good. But it's almost like the expected top 6, the top 6 of old, sort of excluding Leverkusen and putting Leipzig in there as a replacement. So it's I guess it's exciting times. There's a bit more potential for an upset.
German side's perhaps struggling in the Champions League. Bayern did get that a 5-0 win at home to Freiburg, so Jupp Heynckes with a good start to his time back in the hot seat at Bayern Munich. But like you said, is it 5 points between the top 6? 3 points between the top 3 of Dortmund, Bayern and Red Bull Leipzig, so RB Leipzig, I should say. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, listeners, and we'll let you know when the tides turn in that title race. But the tide slightly turned as one of the Manchester clubs finally broke free from the other one. 7-2 Man City. Loads of goals, not even going to name the goal scorers. Matt K. Prince says, I realise it's too soon to say, but surely Man City have the league to lose now. What do you think to that, guys?
I think it's too early to say, really, because it's Premier League. It's not like in La Liga when Real Madrid, like they lose a game, they drop 3 points, and the league is over. I don't feel like the Premier League works that way, and we can definitely see that from like the Chelsea results of the Burnley game and the most recent Palace game. That could happen to any of the top teams in the Premier League, and it's just a question of is Pep Guardiola, has he got the composure to grind it through, because they're looking decent.
What do you think, Michael?
It seems like he's got that formula. He's finally got all the his X's and Y's in the right places now, it seems. Like we've said every week, we mentioned before the podcast, obviously, we can't just keep saying, well, City banged in another 5, etc., or more this week, because it's just getting boring, which is obviously a very positive thing for them. But it is in the Premier League, it is a case of one result could just turn it on its head completely. Like, obviously, United only picked up a point, and we were already mentioning, oh, well, City have pulled away from United, but it's just 2 points. If City play United in the derby and United beat them, which is definitely not going to be unexpected, United are back top. So it's...
I mean, watching the goals, City so good. I found myself a smile lighting up on my face watching some of these goals. It was absolutely brilliant. But like, I mean, you say that shock result can come out of anywhere, but then you look at the fixtures coming up. The hardest game Man City have got is Arsenal at home in like the next 5 fixtures in the league.
But
so you almost ask yourself, when is the run coming
Crystal
to an end?
Palace yesterday.
True.
You can't not say, you can't. It's like Elias said, it's the Premier League. It's always got potential.
But do you think Man City and Chelsea are on the same level though? That's the question.
Definitely not. But but a team that of say Newcastle's quality are way above Crystal Palace's. So it's like in relative speaking, it still has the potential to happen. City could just come up against a team that, while they're playing ridiculously well, a team that finds the defensive formula to counter it. If they close De Bruyne out the game and not allow him to pass as well as he did yesterday, to not give him as much space to turn on the ball or allow that little 1-2 passing that they've been doing, and just there'll be some sort of defensive formula that is there to counter this that might just stop City in the tracks. And while City may find a way to work around that defensive formula the next time, it does just take that one result to become wide open again.
Okay then. Well, we'll talk. Do you want to talk about City's weaknesses? Because obviously they did concede 2 goals here, and the only weakness I can see from like a bird's eye view almost is they're quite lopsided. With obviously Walker and Delph as the wing backs now. You know, one is going to do a lot more running than the other. Although Delph has played very well in that position. Elias, I'll come to you. What do you think Man City's weaknesses are? How would you how do you beat them?
I think it's still down the middle. Because you could definitely exploit Otamendi in a way that he's having a decent season right now, but we all know what Otamendi is capable of doing in a negative way.
He's got a mistake in him.
Yeah, he definitely does. And John Stones as well, we've seen throughout last season that he also knows how to make a mistake or two. I think they need to get Company back. I think that if they get Company back, he's in good form. I think they'll win the league. But I still think it's like between those centre backs that you could see it fall apart. And I'm personally not a massive fan of Fernandinho either.
Despite his goal.
Yeah, I still think he could improve a bit defensively. He is a bit slow-minded. I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, he doesn't really pick up the game very well. Like he's getting older now. He's 31 or 32 now, I think. So I don't know if he can improve on that. But yeah, it's definitely down the middle. I think because I feel like the wings they're just too strong right now. You shouldn't try to cut down those wings because Walker is playing well. You got Sterling, a potential player of the year at this rate.
Unbelievable.
And Delph is playing really well as well in the absence of Mendy.
Yeah.
So, I think it's down the middle, definitely.
Did you guys have a favourite goal from this game? And don't say Biram Diouf's, because...
Hey, the Sane one for me.
Yeah.
De Bruyne's pass. It's like I know it sounds an awful comparison, but it's just like a FIFA pass. It's like perfectly weighted in a position where you didn't exactly mean to do it, or you just like saw it on the radar kind of thing. It's ridiculously well weighted and it well directed. I think Butland will be a little bit disappointed. I think it snuck through his legs, but the ball from De Bruyne is ridiculous.
Yeah. What about you, Alice?
Spot that.
I've got a hard time picking favorite goals from teams I don't support, so I'll just say the Kyle Walker on goal.
Okay. Oh man, I had him as my captain in fantasy football. Unbelievable.
I had Aguero still because I haven't changed it.
Oh no. I think my favourite was Sterling's, although I did like Bernardo Silva's finish. Good to see him getting his first goal for Manchester City. We'll go from Pep Guardiola's team, to Mauricio Pochettino. A bit of beef going on here, guys. Espanyol versus Barcelona and all that sort of stuff. And of course, Guardiola mentioning Spurs as the Harry Kane team, which Pochettino didn't like at all. And there's a bit of back and forth going there, but we'll skip that. Harry Kane team 1, Bournemouth 0. Christian Eriksen with the goal. Spurs not looking their fluid selves. But the big talking point coming out of this game: Danny Rose not on the 2018 calendar. What do you guys think of that?
I think he needs to go a bit more bit more creative with his hairstyle to get on these photo shoots. Because I feel like there's a few Spurs players that are really out to him in that department.
Anyone in particular?
Did Eric Lamella make it on there?
I haven't seen it.
Oh well, you need all the facts first.
I stopped buying that when I was 15. And then my mum still bought me it for Christmas every year.
I feel like just like the Spurs haircuts are just slick, and he's
Harry
got
Winks,
this.
Harry Winks is a slick fella.
Yeah.
Toby Alderweireld has got a
his
slick
Spanish
haircut.
I'm going off Toby a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
you say it in footballing senses or just
Both.
romance?
Both.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, Bournemouth definitely could have got a point in this game though, guys. I think Jermaine Defoe had a really good chance. Lloris saved down as near post, but Tottenham definitely not looking themselves. But then that could be the Wembley factor. Of course, travel to Real Madrid on Tuesday. God, what a game that's going to be. Could be a 5-0, could be a 2-1. Tottenham coming away with the points either way, of course. But it was Ronaldo. What a time for him to hit form now that they're coming into the Spurs game. It's taken October for him to get his first La Liga goal of the season, rescuing Madrid from another perhaps embarrassing result. They beat Getafe 2-1 away. Only 4 points behind Barcelona now as they drew 1-0 with Atleti. Luis Suarez has struggled this season, guys. I don't know if you noticed, but he did get a goal. This is the first tough opposition Barcelona have faced. Who did they smash in the Champions League, Barcelona? They beat someone 3. No, it wasn't PSG. Who was it? 3-0.
Lost?
Juventus. It was Juventus, wasn't it?
They lost.
Oh.
They? Oh yeah.
No, they beat Juventus 3-0. So this is perhaps the hardest team they faced in La Liga. What do you guys think of Barcelona this season? What do you think? There were concerns at the start of the season. Then they've got a big 6-point lead. What do you think now after this result?
I think this season is going to be the last. Well, either this season or next season is going to be the last, golden year season. I think they're going to start to struggle. And I saw an interesting comparison that compared Barcelona to AC Milan of the golden days.
Okay.
And I could see that happen. I could see Barcelona dropping. Maybe not as far as Milan has done, but I could definitely see them getting out of top 4 in Spain because of the massive rivalries there. So
big shout, especially if Messi doesn't sign this contract as well, of course.
A very aging squad, Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean they do have the likes of Deulofeu coming through, so.
Yeah, and they've signed Ousmane Dembele and yeah.
Yeah.
So they still got young players coming through, but the whole core is aging, and that's where I see where they will struggle, just with experience, and they just have to hope that their young players will pick up this experience very quickly, so they can continue the legacy.
It's interesting you say that because you compare them to Real Madrid in that department, and Madrid are just absolutely battering them. They seem to have a new young player in their squad every game at the moment.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. What about you, Michael? You got any views on La Liga teams? Any games that have excited you or teams?
For me, see, I got two sort of stances on it really. For me, it's a little bit same old Liga in that there is a team that's slightly pulling away at this stage of the season after one team slipped up, but yet they're still. Atletico seems to be the team to peg teams back, obviously because of how good they are defensively, and my other stance is sort of I kind of disagree in that Barcelona can obviously buy very young. They do have that power in the transfer market, which they've proven they can do. They've still got the likes of like Umtiti at the back, Semedo, and like we already mentioned, Ter
Stegen, Suarez, all these players.
Yeah.
Dennis
So
Suarez,
they do have the potential to always replace their older squad with younger players, not necessarily homegrown. So I don't necessarily agree. I do think Real Madrid have a better youth policy in terms of like home stance, but for me at this point it's a little bit same old Liga in terms of the league table.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you've got like Sevilla and Valencia mounting challenges, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Barcelona seem to be pulling away. Excuse me, they're 5 points clear, not 4 points clear. I apologise. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting the years to come anyway. But yeah, we'll see what happens this season. Atleti Barcelona, a big game. Another big game. Well, we thought it would be. Didn't turn out to be very exciting. Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. Disappointing, guys, wasn't it, really?
Very. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, me and my dad usually goes after that game and just sits at like a sports bar or something and watches it. And this is the second time we've watched this game at this sports bar, and it's just been as boring as. Yeah, it just didn't give anything. It didn't answer any questions, and it didn't give any new looks of any of the teams. Yeah, just disappointing in the entertainment fashion, and I just think that Mourinho got the exact way, got the game exact the way he wanted, because he is so scared of losing that he will do anything to get a draw or a win. Like, he doesn't even care that much about winning. He just doesn't want to lose.
No, yeah, I understand that. Because deployed Ashley Young out on the right wing, which I don't think he's played there in so long. Just shows you how defensive he decided. Do you think Fellaini getting injured changed his game plan for this game? Do you think he perhaps would have gone a bit more attacking with Fellaini as a bigger man up front, sort of, or do you think this is how he was always going to plan for this game?
I don't know. Like, I think Matic and Herrera did a good job in the absence of Fellaini, and I don't know what, because the game started to like wake up a bit in the first half. The players started to get a bit annoyed, and if players getting annoyed, I think Fellaini on the pitch would probably be a bad decision because he is a player known for his antics.
He's got sharp elbows. Let's just say that.
Yeah, another guy with sharp elbows, Andy Carroll.
Oh well, we'll go straight to that game then if you want. Just skip the running order. Andy Carroll, not just one sharp elbow, two. He probably could have got 2 red cards in this game.
Yeah,
but they mounted to 2 yellows and 1 red. He's great.
The second one was just horrible.
Yeah, he led with his elbow. It's just no defending it at all. But yeah, he's a great player, but he's got this in him, hasn't he, Elias?
You could definitely see that when I've brought this up many times, but with his diving against this Oli club, I just hated that, and this was also one of the parts of his game that I just you could be a physical player, but you don't need to jump in with your elbows at all times. He's just so much taller than pretty much everybody on the pitch, so you don't need to do that.
It's that classic Peter Crouch thing. Is like his arms are there because he's taller, but then I feel like Andy Carroll in this situation took liberties with that and almost tried to use that to defend himself. But a very strange goal for West Ham here, wasn't it? Joe Hart launching the ball straight through the middle of Burnley. Unlike Burnley, a poor defensive display for that goal. Unlike them completely, and Antonio with a lovely touch and finish in the end.
Yeah, Ben Mee completely missed the ball, and that was how the goal went in. Really. It's good from Antonio, of course, but just the goal is on Ben Mee, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But Michael, Chris Wood, former Boner, getting on the score sheet again with a lovely header.
He's just a finisher, isn't he? And whenever you need him, whenever the opportunity's there, he'll take it, which is exactly what we talked about him being. And he rescued a point from him because the opportunity came, and he took it very well.
Oh yeah, fantastic for him. Really making his mark in the Premier League this time, and I think he'll be very happy with his decision. I think he'll be very happy with his decision to leave Leeds, as much as Leeds might not like that. Another striker that's starting to find his feet, Tammy Abraham, a brace. Let's say 1.5 goals, because he seemed to nick Jordan Ayew's rather glorious chip. Although maybe it would have been cleared off the line, we don't know. But once again, Huddersfield, their own worst enemies again, giving the ball away for the first goals. Similar to the Spurs game, it's just too easy. Conceding goals like that at this level is never going to do you much good.
Yeah, it's just a hard thing to take out of the game. Like the mistakes, they're just individual, and there's nothing really you can do about it collectively. So it's just up to the player to try and improve. But as a team, it's just something that happens, really.
Yeah, I think maybe the individual lack of skill or individual skill difference between Huddersfield and a lot of Premier League teams is kind of showing now. They came up with a massive amount of confidence, huge togetherness, a lot of chemistry. So obviously that they weren't making as many mistakes, and they started to get some really good results. But as they settle into the Premier League a bit, and that momentum dies ever so slightly, the individual the first goal was just one too many touches and then panic, which is obviously a lack of composure, come from a lack of skill,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So it was obvious where the mistake was in that, and it could continue to happen because of just the quality. And like Ellie said, there's not really a way to stop it. It's just how the players are.
Yeah, I don't particularly remember Huddersfield playing out from the back in the earlier stages of this season. So I don't know whether that's a recent change or if I've just missed that. But yeah, like you say, that tactic would work brilliantly at like a top European team with like fantastic players. But Huddersfield, all right, they've got good players and they've shown that with some of the results they've picked up this season. But when you're making mistakes like that and giving Swansea, a team that has struggled to score this season, such an easy lead, and I think we have to be fair to Swansea. They've, perhaps individually they're not fantastic, but the way when they haven't got the ball, how structured they are and how disciplined they are. I think Paul Clement's got a lot of needs a bit of credit for that actually. And if he had better players, perhaps he could, be a really good manager on the defensive side of things, of course.
Yeah, I think a lot of credit's got to go through his utilisation of his like midfield. I think Britton and like Carroll have been like very good in terms of creativity, but also in breaking down play. So they've sort of served like killing two birds with one stone almost. He's utilised that really well, which has taken a lot of pressure off the defence. And so they can't make as many mistakes. I know that sounds awful, but it was one of Swansea's big downfalls. And giving opportunities up front. And Ayew and Abraham are playing very well together. They seem to have developed a bit of chemistry between them.
No, yeah, they definitely have. Seem to have some sort of understanding. No, Wilfred Boney again today. Unfortunately, we'll see what he can do when he's back, and hopefully he gets scoring again. It's amazing the actual change of Swansea, like from a couple of seasons ago. Being such a good passing side, possession-based side. Now they seem to just hit teams on the break and almost, and maybe not. Maybe they're just not good enough to keep possession at this point. I don't know what you guys think about that. Yeah.
If you're in the Premier League, you should be able to have the quality to keep the ball for at least 5 passes. Of course, I say that, but that's something that Chelsea didn't do against City, and basically just contradicting myself there. But if you've gone this far, you should be able to improve and try and keep the ball as much as you can. Of course, you don't need to be like Arsenal and never really lose the ball passing wise. Just do the safest pass as possible. But you could just try and calm it down a bit. You don't need to play the long ball game, the
Hollywood pass.
Well, not all Kevin De Bruyne's.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can have security with the risks anyway, and that's something I think every manager probably wants to improve on. And it's harder when you haven't got the biggest quality players as Huddersfield. So.
I think Huddersfield did have a really good chance with Tom Ince. Blazed it over from like 6 yards out. Oh, he'll probably rue that one. What about Koeman? Do you think he'll rue this point away to Brighton? Because I think this probably would have been a good point, but consider the circumstances. This is only going to put more pressure on Ronald Koeman. What do you think to that, guys? Do you think he's the question marks over him and his job now?
No. I saw a tweet from Shane Duffy. I mentioned that to Michael before you came in here, but he said that Shane Duffy, the Huddersfield defender, of course, that he thought that Everton were a really strong side, and I'm not sure if I agree with it, but they could be considered a bigger side than Huddersfield, of course. They should probably be considered that. And of course, Koeman I think he's the only manager in the Premier League that uses Twitter quite frequently. So he, of course, tweets his what's it called? Reactions to the games.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that he thought the players showed like good attitude and they could have gone away with another goal at the end there. So so he's of course happy with the players now. It seems, at least.
He's got some tough games coming up though, Everton. They play Lyon at home in the Europa League, Arsenal at home in the league, then Chelsea away in the Carabao Cup, then Leicester away in the league, and then Lyon away again in the Europa League. Michael, how many? If he loses all 5 of those games, does he go then? Or is it still too? Am I trying to look, pull a narrative that isn't there?
No, because I feel like we talked about it in past weeks. We can't seem to put a time frame on how long he should get. It's obvious he's trying a lot. I think he tried 4-4-2 today, which he's not played since the start of the season, maybe because of injuries or whatever. But I'm not too sure. Again, didn't really get the better of Brighton, and not just in respect to the result, but how the game went. So I think they have to give him time, because I don't think they're in any danger. So it has to be a project with how many players they've bought. But they are the 16th of the table. At what point does it become non-excusable?
Well, the minute Crystal Palace overtake
in the Europa
them.
League, and in the Europa League as well, that they're getting turned over by some teams. So I think it come back to me for those 5 games, and if he has been sacked, I won't say it's a mistake, and I think that's as far as I can go with it.
Okay. Do you think the changing of the kickoff time had anything to do with the result? Of course, the kickoff. It's strange circumstances. I'll read part of the statement. Once the Premier League realised that neither of the big, broadcasting companies in England or Britain, Sky Sports and BT Sports, weren't interested in screening the match, they moved the game from the traditional 3 p.m. They'd already moved the game from the traditional 3 p.m. kickoff, and Star Sports from India picked up the game, and that was the reason they had to change to a 1:30 p.m. Sunday kickoff. Weird, isn't it, guys? That the only reason this game changed is because one country screened it or wanted to screen it at 6 p.m. their time. It was a very strange reason to change the kickoff day and time, and didn't really help the fans very much, considering they'd already bought their tickets.
Wonder how much Star Sports paid for that game, because I hope the Indians got their money's worth. Because it was
apparently India, according to the article I read, apparently Everton quite a big team in India. Well, they must be to screen the game.
Well, I can see it in Asia as the wider scale, because they did have Chang as a big sponsor for a while, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they've had a couple of, like, I want to say that. I don't.
They do need a striker. Do you think this could open the door to Michael Chopra coming in?
No.
Oh, transition, Phil. Talk about Cardiff and Birmingham now.
Oh, Michael Chopra, former Cardiff striker, of course. But perhaps they could have done with him, because they, unfortunately, they couldn't find enough goals to get past Birmingham. Steve Cotteran's Birmingham side. Friday night kickoff, and of course knocks Cardiff off the top of the league. How happy are you with that, Michael?
I was delighted when you just told me I could talk about it, never mind the result. I was given a free Birmingham pass for the weekend. Birmingham showed structure for the first time in a long time, and a bit of fight, and a bit of pace up front as well, with Isaac Vassell starting. Cardiff were not the team they've looked like.
They've been on a bit of a downward trajectory, haven't they, really?
Yeah, it's sort of it's one of those where it's been coming.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And it's like the Chelsea Crystal Palace thing. It's been coming, and it would have been a team, like a lower down team, to do it. But for Birmingham, it's been coming. For Cardiff, it's been coming. I won't say for Chelsea, it's been coming, but I digress. It was a very interesting result, and it does mark the start of Steve Cottrell's reign, hopefully.
Out of the bottom 3 as well.
Yeah, and the players all said that they really liked Steve Cottrell when he was assistant manager for that short period of time, before he left at the end of last season. So it seems like they do, and we needed a lot of togetherness. There's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors, like Kushak's been playing because Stockdale's been injured for a while, with apparently punched either somebody or something in a change room after a bust up after I can't remember which game it was.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I think it might have been after the Preston game, something like that. But yeah, it's been a rough time for Birmingham. Obviously, it's been in the press because of Harry Redknapp being sacked. But what we've got is a bit of structure, and we seem to have a bit of fight about us now, which is good to see.
You mentioned Preston there. Sorry.
Yeah. And I was just about to say that.
You mentioned Preston there. Went 2-0 up away to Fulham, dropped that to make 2-2. Good result for them. They're actually in the playoff places as well with Sheffield United and Bristol City. Some unlikely faces there perhaps at the start of the season, but we'd like to see them continue. Bristol City on phenomenal form at home. I don't think they've lost there in a long time. But yeah, doing very well. But Wolves now have gone top after a win against Aston Villa. The Midlands clubs of Birmingham and Aston Villa combining to get Cardiff City off the top of the table. Peace and harmony there, I can only assume. But Wolves, in my personal opinion, I don't think we'll see them off the top of the table again this season. I think this will be the moment they kick on and really dominate the league.
I think they really have to, with the amount of money they've spent as one thing, the quality of squad they have. But they did lose to Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago. It's the Championship. There is a long way to go. There's still 30 plus games to go. So it's a long time away. But they have so much quality, and they don't seem to have that little bit of inconsistency. I mentioned Sheffield United result, which is kind of contradictory.
Well, they are third, Sheffield United, and unbelievable at home.
Yeah, exactly. They don't seem to have an element of consistency or an element of like calamity about them. Wolves. I think that comes down to quality of players like Cardiff lost at Birmingham, etc., etc. So they look composed, and like you said, they should go on really.
It'd be interesting to see what they do in January as well with all this money, because if they are top of the table, I think a lot of players will be seeing that and thinking, yeah, this is our ticket to the Premier League. Elias, we've talked about the Championship, giving Michael a little shout. Do you want to go over to the Allsvenskan League and tell us a bit about AIK or who's rocking that league at the moment?
Well, it's no surprise that Malmo is running that league and has been doing for quite a few years now. They're 9 points ahead, I think, or 10 points with like 3 games to go. So,
I didn't realise it was that big of a...
We'll come back to you next week if you want, and you can tell us about their title celebrations.
Yeah.
You can... Yeah, okay. Will they sing "We Are the Champions" if they win?
No.
No? Disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, what a lovely mention for the Swedish league.
Patronising as ever.
Well, you know... From Sweden corner to Neymar corner, the Neymar natter's back, guys. PSG just beat Dijon 2-1. No, not just now, this weekend. Stunning goal from Dijon, though. Did you see the volley? I can't remember the guy who scored it. Unbelievable. 89th minute volley, about 30 yards out. Screaming hit. PSG went on to actually win the game somehow in extra time. But strange things coming out of Neymar, not directly from him, but there's reports coming out that he could be off to Real Madrid. Apparently, due to the bribery allegations swarming around PSG and beIN Media Group's Qatari chief executive Nasser Al Khalifi, yeah, and the 2002 World Cup, he could receive a substantial fine. Of course, allegations. I'm not saying anything. He could receive a substantial fine from FIFA, and to get it back in goodwill and pay this off, he could reportedly sell Neymar. I'm not sure how legitimate these sources are, but it's more Neymar. Intriguing Neymar things coming out of this.
You did say we were going to have a Neymar section every week.
Well, that's what I'm trying to fulfill that.
Just to me, when you was mentioning that, then it sounded like bailiffs were just sort of going to, like, from a can't pay, take it away scene. Neymar was just going to be, no, you're coming down the depot. You're going to
Neymar's under the mattress.
It's just, yeah. It's nice.
Wow. We unfortunately we were recording before Leicester take on West Brom on Monday night, so hopefully that's a good game and we'll be watching that, and we'll probably tweet about that on the Twitter, so follow that at In The Mixer Show, and if you want to talk about that game, send us some tweets there. In the Mixer Podcast at gmail.com if you prefer to email, of course. A bit more personal time with us, and we will make sure we get back to you or read it on the podcast. Final game we're going to talk about in the Premier League, actually, Southampton 2, Newcastle 2. Literally just happened. I mean, both teams got to be happy here. A good point for Newcastle, and Southampton managing to score more than one goal.
Gabbiadini, if he gets in form again.
Yeah, this is the solution. They found it. There's glimpses of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pellegrino seems to have had a tough start at Southampton. I think there's going to be reports coming out about Southampton sacking him soon, just because of the struggle to score goals, and results like this aren't going to do him any favours. But when you compare the support he's getting as soon as he walked through the door compared to Rafa Benitez on the other side at Newcastle, you know, I know Rafa's got a big resume and stuff and has done stuff in this country before. But if perhaps Pellegrino come in with the same support and have met the same support from Southampton fans, I know it's hard because he's come from Alaves, perhaps not very well known as a manager. But do you think that would have been a big difference if Southampton fans had, were singing his name from the first game?
I don't know. How do you incorporate Pellegrino in a chant? I want to know that first.
Well,
Pellegrino. There you go.
There's the
Then shut that one down.
What?
There's the Tottenham one. He's magic, Maurizio Pochettino. You could just put in Maurizio Pellegrino. That works exactly the same. Just steal Tottenham's chance. It's not like we haven't stole the Saints go marching in, is it? So, I mean,
Well, I thought the Spurs was marching in was the original.
oh, it was. But,
Okay.
but it's, the records were lost, so we haven't got the legal backing, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's an interesting point. But what do you guys think of Newcastle? They're pulling up some really good results, aren't they?
Yeah.
Again, good score 2 goals away from home. I'd say they created the best quality chances. I don't think they probably had the control of the game. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I think Southampton had control of the game, but I think Newcastle had the best quality chances. So, and away from home, you can't expect any more than that. They scored 2 goals. They've got a good result. Maybe they'll be disappointed not to see it out with a win, but you can't complain.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, they'll be looking at as an opportunity for a point, and I think they'll take that at the full-time whistle. Guys, I think that's it for the Premier League. Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about quickly before we wrap it up?
Not really. It's just been pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
This week, I think, except the shock results. But
Yeah. What about you, Michael? Anything?
Yeah, I think. Well, no, not really. I think me and Alice were saying that the Premier League was normal service, except 2 shock results, and that sounds a little bit odd, but it's just like it went as expected, which is unusual for the Premier League.
Oh, no, fair enough. All right then, guys. Well, thank you very much. We've very much enjoyed myself hosting it. Very much enjoyed not having to do the intro, so thank you, Michael, for that.
No problem.
Yeah, send your best wishes to our listeners, guys.
best wishes.
Thank you for listening.
And a happy new year. Goodbye.
Prosperous.